Niall Stanage with us now, associate editor of The Hill. Boy, you think about this story, it's got the world's richest man, it's got money, it's got a huge business story component, a huge culture war story component to it. It's got politics. How do we even begin to cover it?
I think that is a genuinely difficult question. It has a sort of cinematic drama to it, Leland, because of all of the elements that you talked about. But one of the things that I think is illustrated by the comments you highlighted at the start is we don't really fundamentally agree on what Twitter is, right? I mean, on one hand, yes, it is a private sector company and can therefore make its own rules. On the other hand, it is one of the dominant platforms in social media, which has become such a vital tool or platform for us all to communicate. And so exactly what you want from Twitter, what you think is appropriate regulation of Twitter, who you think is an appropriate owner for Twitter, all those things are up for debate.
Yeah, and all those things depend on your own politics. Ordinarily, when you begin to cover a story that sort of transcends all these issues you and I talk about on a weekly basis, and we're better for it, you begin by looking on Twitter to see what people are saying about it. Speaking of which, Bloomberg, owned by Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire, Elon Musk's vision of taking the guardrails off Twitter's content moderation risks creating a free-for-all that alienates advertisers and leaves regular users subject to abuse. In 2019, Michael Bloomberg, the essence of American democracy is that people who disagree, however profoundly, can set forth their views and continue to engage with one another productively in the ordinary course of their lives. It's amazing how things change in 3 years. Have you denoted even a whisper of understanding or thoughtfulness about the hypocrisy that is going on over this issue?
Well, there's a lot of questionable statements being made, and I think a lot of it gets to this idea that people think another organization is biased or has its rules wrong if they just see something that they personally disagree with on there. Principles can be rather fungible and flexible depending on what political cause you think those principles are being put in the service of. Now, Elon Musk, I think, describes himself as a free speech absolutist. Maybe he is, but there are criticisms of him for trying to silence internal critics in his company. And there are actually very few free speech absolutists in the world because most people think there should be some guardrails somewhere against blatant abuse or blatant incitement, things of that nature. So all of these sort of pieces of the argument are actually quite difficult to define, and I wish that we did have more people who would apply principles universally across the board, whether it applies to people they agree with or disagree with.
Yeah, we want to make the point that Carlos Slim had, because of some of the controversy, had divested some of the parts of his ownership of the New York Times, which goes to the point that at least sometimes there's a modicum of consistency in these things. You made the great point, fungible and flexible, which sort of describes everything that happens in Washington. Top followed congressional members on social media. Of the top 13, only 4 are Republicans, the rest are Democrats. How are Democrats going to deal with what's happening here, considering that for so long, and especially when President Trump was banned from Twitter, they said Twitter's a private company, the government should have nothing to do with it?
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big questions, assuming this bid by Elon Musk moves forward. Is there going to be some kind of intervention by Democrats here? Now, I'm honestly not sure what shape such an intervention would take. But again, I think big tech generally is in an interesting spot, Leland, because it's not beloved really by anyone. Republicans and conservatives tend to think it leans liberal. Liberals and leftists tend to associate it with just big money and billionaires and corporate power. So it's actually more vulnerable to government action than lots of other sectors within our economy are.
Boy, is it going to be a fun next couple of weeks. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, stay tuned, as they say. Coming up.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.